Good morning. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the Monday Message. Each week, we take a few minutes to reflect on leadership, character, and the choices that shape who we become as members of the public safety community, parents, spouses, teammates, coworkers, and neighbors. These are not lectures or perfect answers. They are simply observations from a career in public service and lessons I have learned along the way, with the hope that they challenge all of us to think a little differently as we begin a new week. If this is your first time listening, I'm Dan Dillon. I've spent more than 3 decades in public service, and every Monday I share a few thoughts on leadership, character, and living a life with purpose. So pour yourself a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's get started. Today I want to talk about something I think every one of us experiences at some point in life. We lose our level. Sometimes it happens suddenly, sometimes it happens so gradually that we don't even notice it. But eventually, every one of us has to find our way back. Some time ago, I had the privilege of spending several days with my son after he returned home from a deployment to a combat zone. Watching him adjust to life back home has been one of the most humbling experiences of my life. He is working through the noise, and I mean that literally. A car backfiring, a door slamming, the sound of a fire alarm. Things that most of us barely notice can stop him dead in his tracks. The same instincts that kept him alive overseas are now the very things making it difficult to feel safe back at home. He still wakes to sounds that no longer exist: drone attacks, gunfire, helicopters. The war is over for him, but sometimes the mind has not gotten the message yet. He needed some time with his dad. Truthfully, I probably needed it just as much. While he was gone, I carried a weight I had never experienced before: the lack of contact, the, the fear that something could go terribly wrong, wondering whether the son I knew would be the same young man who came home. We talked, we laughed, there were tears. We sat in silence and listened to the waves crash. We spent time with family, but more than anything, we simply spent time together. Trying to fix people is rarely what they need. Being present usually is. At one point during our conversations, I told him something that I've come to believe over many years. Everything finds its level. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually it does. Not because time magically fixes everything, but because healing happens when we keep showing up, when we stay connected, when we are honest, when we allow other people to help carry the weight. Through time, through intention, through people who care enough to walk beside us. I have thought about that conversation a lot this week, because while most of us will never experience a combat deployment, every one of us knows what it feels like to be knocked off balance. Maybe it's the loss of someone you love, a divorce, a diagnosis, a failed relationship, financial stress, burnout, a mistake you cannot stop replaying. Or maybe it is simply carrying too much for too long. Life has a way of knocking every one of us a little off level. The fire service certainly does. We see things most people will never see. Some calls stay at the scene, others come home with us. Images, smells, voices, moments. Some fade with time, others stay with us for years. That does not make you weak, it makes you human. One of the greatest myths in our profession is that strength means carrying everything by yourself. It does not. Strength is knowing when the weight has become too much. Strength is having the humility to tell someone. Strength is accepting help before the burden becomes unbearable. I've also learned something else. Being off level rarely happens all at once. It happens 1 degree at a time. One missed workout, one poor night's sleep, one difficult conversation avoided, one more shift without processing what happened yesterday, one more week convincing yourself you were fine. 1 degree seems insignificant until one day you look up and realize you are somewhere you never intended to be. That's how drift works. The same is true in life. Small course corrections matter. Checking in matters. Talking matters. That's exactly what my son is doing right now. He is not trying to become overnight the young man he was before he deployed. He is simply making one small adjustment after another. One conversation, one day at a time, one step forward. The people around you matter. Your crew matters, your family matters, your friends matter. Sometimes they recognize that you are off level before you do. Let them. The strongest people I know are not the ones who never struggle. They're the ones willing to let others walk beside them while they find their footing again. Maybe that's the real lesson. Finding your level is not about getting back to who you used to be. Life changes us. The calls change us. Loss changes us. Success changes us. Parenthood definitely changes us. I do not expect my son to become the same young man who left for deployment. Combat changed him, just as becoming his father changed me, just as this profession has changed me. Life changes all of us. The goal is not to erase those experiences. It is to allow them to shape us without allowing them to define us. The goal is not to become the person you were before. It is to become the person this season of life is preparing you to be. So maybe the question this week is not, am I struggling? Most of us are carrying something. Maybe the better question is, what am I doing to find my level? Who am I talking to? Who am I allowing to help? What small adjustment do I need to make today before 1 degree becomes 10? Everything finds its level. Rivers do, oceans do, people do too. Sometimes it takes longer than we would like. Sometimes it requires help. Sometimes it requires patience. But if we keep showing up, keep making the right decision, keep allowing people who care about us to walk beside us, we find our footing again. None of us were meant to carry life alone. Sometimes finding your level begins with letting someone stand beside you until you can. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. If this message challenged you to think a little differently, then our time together was well spent. If it resonated with you, consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it this week. Until next Monday, choose the harder right over the easier wrong. Take care of one another, stay curious, lead with purpose, and never stop growing. I will see you next Monday.